So today we're going to continue with the self-defense series. We're going to work against the haymakers today, a more street style type of punch, the type of punch that street fighters and most of society's predators have a tendency to throw at you, which is this looping punch where they come in with all their weight behind it and try to take your head off. We'll be going demonstration speed so you can see various techniques I'm doing. Again, today, these will be by no means all the techniques you can counter a punch with. But we're just going to give you some stuff that you can work on and bring into your classes, and then you can expand on it from there. Obviously, within the kata and all the forms, that the empty hand forms I do, whether it's Ishinryu, Kingai-ryu, feeding crane, or Chen-style Taijiquan practical method, there's tons of techniques within the kata to defend against a punch. All right, Gary's here to help me. So Gary's going to come in with the haymaker. You don't want to move in. Try to move to the outside on the haymaker because it's coming looping in. So we're going to move in. We want to move in past the punch. Keep in mind, he's got this other hand. So as Motobu teaches us in his drills, as Gary comes in, this is here, maybe we do a headbutt. We come across with a chopping elbow strike. Now we come around and maybe we wrap, and now we have a guillotine choke, okay? So again, simpler though. Gary comes in, this comes straight in. So as he comes in with the punch, we hit him as he thinks he's hitting us. This is very important. What you see a lot of karate people doing is Gary comes in, they go back. They step back to defend. Try this for real. Have a big guy in your dojo come in and have him really try to punch you and step back. You're going to be in for a big surprise, okay? So ideally, what we want to do as Gary comes in, we want to jam his arm. We want to move in and stop that arm before it gets power, while at the same time, maybe hitting in the throat. I'm striking like this with the open hand. Could hit and seize, right? Could come in and strike the eyes, okay? I can come in elbow strike if I move in deep enough. So what we want to do is he comes in with this big looping punch. I want to move in past it. So it's past my head. All right. Like I said, you have to be concerned with this. But if you hit him here as he's throwing this punch, he's not going to be thinking about hitting you with this because he's going to be worrying about getting hit in the throat, getting thrust in the eye. Okay. So this is what we want to do. We want to take his brain, and instead of it focusing on attacking us, we want his brain to say, ouch, what was that? My throat, right? We want to take him out that way quick. So as the attack, as we make contact, we should finish the opponent. And again, you can follow up with multiple techniques, all different things. You can play around and try all kinds of stuff. And again, as he comes in, right, I can check the hand, headbutt. I can come around here. Now I'm incorporating a move from Seisan, breaking the elbow, all right? He comes in. I can come in and strike with an elbow strike. Then here, as he comes in again, I can come here, strike to the side of the neck with this cutting action with the edge of my forearm, striking here. This a lot of times will cause a knockout, so be careful with this one, all right? So then if we get into some joint locking stuff, all right, if we want to incorporate that. So as Gary comes in, I hit. Now I come underneath. I fold the arm back. When you do this, let's just come around this way. When we do this, we don't want to leave this elbow up because Gary can just straighten his arm, right? So what we want to do is we want to bring this elbow down. Now Gary's arm's locked in. He tries to straighten it. It's not going anywhere, all right? Now, once I apply this, this is a bad one. I can also put my leg behind and sweep him as I do this, driving his head into the floor, okay? This technique will tear the shoulder. So be very, very careful with this one. It's very, very strong armbar, all right? So if he's taller than you especially, it's very easy to come up underneath the arm. If he's shorter than you, you can come in and maybe come in with the chopping elbow. Now wrap over the top and fold and grab your own bicep. This one's not really one that causes pain, but Gary can't fight it. He's going right down. And again, if I add the foot sweep, he goes down even harder and we drive him into the ground. Okay? So again, these are all for this looping style punch what a lot of them like to do. So Gary's going to come in with the looping style punch again. I'm going to move in underneath the hand. As he comes in, I move in underneath the hand, and now this is a throw. And I take him right over my leg. If I extend the arm, he goes even further, okay? And again, when that's done right, the head replaces the feet. So the fall is like this. As a general rule, like when we do that technique, and again, that technique's right out of the Ishin Rukata, right? Seiyuchin, Sun Tzu, Kusanku, right? Obviously, we do that technique in jiu-jitsu, all right? We do it in practical method, all right? So you see it all the different various empty hand arts that I teach and study. I'm sure it's found in all the other empty hand arts. So the key to remember is when we practice that, if we're actually working it as a throw in class, when we have mats out, we don't do the throw to drive the head in, because even doing that on a mat is going to really hurt your partner. So you do the throw a certain way where they're able to take a side fall and slap out so they don't get hurt. And it gives you an opportunity to follow through. But the idea with this is it's this action. And this is called, in Chinese, they call this bie. It's a shearing action, okay? So it's like scissors, all right? And when you hit them, the guy literally just goes like this, and his head goes into the floor. In Chen style Tai Chi, one of the principles is every time we throw you on the head. In real jiu-jitsu, every time we throw you on the head, okay? There's a practice way, so you can practice and take the falls, but the real way, there's no falling, there's no slapping out. We drive you right on your head, okay? So Gary comes in with the haymaker. I hit, I can come under here. Now I can move in and I can throw if I want, okay? Gary comes in with the haymaker. Here, I come here, shoot the leg. Now I can throw with Tayatoshi, right? And Gary just goes ba-boom. So you could try to incorporate throws. One of my personal favorites that I used a lot in actual fighting is Gary comes in with a punch. I move in. I grab hit here, or I seize the throat, and this leg snakes behind, and now I throw Gary to the ground with Osoda Gary, okay? So that's a simple sweep that looks like this, and you drive the person to the ground, okay? And again, you can do it a few different ways. As he comes in, I could just move in and wrap, right? So I wrap around the arm and have it trapped, and now this comes here and then sweep, and he goes down, okay? So this is another thing you can work on against this type of punch. As he comes in, you can wrap. Now this is Nahanshi. So I did this on a recent video that when I was in New York. This is the opening move in Nahanshi. Now I pull him in and drive into the face, into the throat, okay, with the elbow strike. So you could play around with the wrapping. When you wrap, there are ways where you can get the joint, so you can work on that, figure it out, play around with it. So let's talk about a couple of things that the bad guys do. Okay, when bad guys punch, all right, they expect that their punch is going to land. So they may not have training, they don't know martial arts, they don't know boxing, right? But they're used to violence and they're used to it. So that means they don't hesitate. They're not going to be afraid to take your head off, all right? So, but what they expect is they expect that punch to land. They expect you to back up, okay? So when you don't back up and you move in, their reptile brain has to say, wait, what's that? So a lot of times I saw guys, and had this experience myself, where the guy went to throw a punch at me, and as I moved in, he punched like this. He actually started to back off, because me moving in was like, what's happening here? And by the time I was finished, I never let him recover. I pressed in and took him out. When the opponent retreats, we don't back off. We stay on the opponent and we finish them. We don't back off and then restart again. No, that's sport stuff. The opponent attacks, we move in, they start to back up, we just keep moving in until we finish them and they're no longer a threat, okay? So that's one thing. Another thing that a lot of times happens is when you initially move, the criminal, the predator, rocks on his heels. So he'll literally, if he's here like this and you decide not to wait, you decide you're going to move in and take them out, they rock on their heels. When they rock on their heels, there's no coming forward. They're stuck. That's when you take them out. Okay. Now for us, I know when I started karate, my first instructor always said, your feet have to be flat on the ground. All right. They're flat on the ground. Okay. So there's a bit of a problem with this though. All right. If they're flat on the ground, in order for me to propel myself forward, I have to push off the ball of the foot. So what I do is when I'm doing any type of self-defense, ippon kumite, whatever work I'm doing with a partner, my weight is on the balls of my feet. But if you look, you can't tell. It looks like my feet, and my heels actually are touching the ground, but my weight's on the balls so I can move. So a lot of people in karate, they start with flat-footed. And if Gary's throwing a punch and I back up, I'm 100% flat-footed. Now I'm on my heel. All right. And the thing to keep in mind is if Gary throws the punch here and I step back, he's immediately throwing the second one. Now, and he's gonna be on me and he's gonna move across, right? And now I have a problem. Now I'm on my heels trying to defend myself. So this may work great in the dojo where the guy throws the punch and you back up and do your great block and then come in with your counters, all right? But in actual fighting, this is not gonna work, okay? You can't, as soon as he feels this hand is coming. So that's why as he does that, we have to do this. This will stop this, okay, when you hit him here. Okay, you poke him in the eye. Believe me, all power comes out of his body when you strike him in the throat hard, okay? So that's just a fact. So understand this about the opponent you're fighting if he's not trained, right? And in karate too, again, if you're only working against this kind of attack where, you're standing in your nice karate stance and stepping in with your nice twist punch, no one's ever stood in a karate style stance against me. No one's ever thrown a karate style punch against me. All right. And if that's all you're working against, well, you're going to be in for a big surprise because when this looping punch comes in, and if you're like, I'm not a big guy, right? If the guy I'm fighting is 6'3" and he's 235, when he's coming in with that mass, right, and that speed, you better know how to move. Because if you can't move, you get caught flat-footed, you're going to get hit. And chances are your fight's going to be over. And you're going to be on the losing side. Okay? So, again, great technique is working on watching, observing. As he pulls his hand back, I move in. Like, see, even Gary, because he's a karate guy, he's still not punching like the street guys punch. A lot of the street guys, they wind up. So you'll see this shoulder will come forward, which is an indication that the other hand is coming, right? So if he winds up, that's when I can move in. I catch him. I interrupt his power before it gets forward. If he's coming in with power and I'm here, right? Now, this is his power range. I want to catch him back here. Now he tries to push on me. There's nothing. He's got nothing there. This would have already hit him. Maybe I grab. Maybe I knee kick, right? Maybe I hit him with a bicep bump across the front of his face. There's so many different techniques you can do. So you want to work on and learn to observe. So if the guy's in front of you, he's standing there, and if you see this shoulder come forward, and if this shoulder comes forward and there's no jab with it, he's winding up to come with this hand. Obviously, you can move to the outside, to the back of him, right? Before the punch even comes, right? Or it's coming, so now you're prepared and you move in. You take him out, all right? Cannot emphasize enough. It's about moving in. It's about moving in, okay? Can I do things like where Gary's here, he comes in with a punch, and can I kick him? Yeah, you could do that. But again, just keep in mind, don't make the assumption that, your all-powerful kick is going to take the guy out, right? You could be, be off a little bit, miss the vital area that you're striking to, okay? And the punch may still come. So just prepare yourself for that. You look at the kata, you look at any of the forms of any of the empty hand martial arts, they're heavy on hand techniques. They're much heavier on hand techniques. There's not nearly as many kicking techniques, okay? Like I've mentioned in previous videos that I only remember someone throwing a kick at me twice in actual fighting. Recently, when I did the seminar, this came up at the seminar. There was 3 other cops in the room. I asked them. One cop remembered once. The other 2 guys said nobody ever threw a kick at them. So again, again, doesn't mean no one will. Now that I said this on this video, the next time someone attacks you, of course, they'll try to kick you, right? But the idea is, train. The number 1 attack in the world, is a punch in the face, all right? So, simple, silly exercise that I do in my dojo that I'm not even sure Gary's done yet. So, okay? So what I do is, and I do this to show people how fast that punch is going to come, all right, is all I'm going to do is I'm going to stand here. Just back up this way a little bit. Yeah. All I'm going to do is stand here. Relax, right? All I'm going to do is stand here, and I'm going to come up and touch Gary's face. But Gary can't let me touch his face. So Gary can block. Gary can move his head. He can do whatever he wants, right? Okay, so now you go do whatever you want, right? Yeah. No, I'm touching your face. Right. You got to not let me touch it. Yeah. Right. Move your head. Yeah, now you're doing it, right? So, again, an MMA guy sees us doing this in class. They're like, what is that? That's ridiculous, okay? Yeah, try it. See how easy it is. Have someone stand, have one of your students stand there, one of your black belts, and say, okay, I'm just going to touch your face. I'm not going to hit you. I'm just going to literally touch you like this, and don't let me do it. Okay, that's how fast the punch is coming at you, for real. All right? So this is why you have to work, you have to drill, and at some point, you have to pressure test. What I mean by that is you're going to have your student come at you hard and fast, like hard and fast. Now, if you're worried about it, wear some headgear, okay? But you've got a pressure test where that guy comes in and he tries to take your head off, and can you deal with it? Can you move out of the way? Can you interrupt his power? Can you move in and strike him at the same time? It's the test you have to do and see if what you're doing works. If it's always slow motion, if it's always half speed, you're not really knowing if it's going to work for real. I'll give you an example. We were up in a Tai Chi event up in Canada, and a Chinese master was there, and he was showing some self-defense techniques, and it was blocks against punches. And it was me and my 3 students, and so 4 of us were working together, partnered up, and we were trying to take each other's heads off with the punches. And one of the other students walked over and said, hey guys, take it easy. Like, you're really trying to hit each other. Like, what if someone makes a mistake and you get hit? And we, all 4 of us were in law enforcement. We all looked at him and said, well, people try to take our heads off all the time. And if, we have to train for real. If we don't train for real, how are we going to be prepared for when it really happens? So again, this is what martial artists need to realize. You have to pressure test a little bit. If you don't, you're going to get hurt, right? You got to try it and see if it's working. And if it's not working, you got to figure out why it's not working. And if you can't figure it out, you better find someone that can tell you how to figure it out, okay? Because again, this is the number 1 attack, a punch in the face. Now today we did a more street style thing where the guy comes in with a looping punch. Future videos, I'll do more of a straight punch or a boxing style punch where it's a cross, right? Maybe we'll do some stuff against the jab. And so maybe you come up with a guy who's got a little bit of training. Maybe he's worked the bag and stuff and knows how to punch a little bit better. And this way we'll do some techniques against that. All right. So hope you've enjoyed this one. Practice, figure out. There's a million other techniques you can do against a punch. Work it, pressure test it, be careful, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks.